You guys all got me? Perfect. Okay. Obviously, Matt, thank you for putting this thing together and our media. I appreciate you guys being on here. Obviously, this is I guess a pretty fortunate opportunity for me to be speaking with you after two wins and more importantly, the win this past weekend against Iowa State. Obviously, we feel real good as a team and real good as a program. I think you've seen over the course of the last 2 weeks, you've seen a lot of improvement. You've probably seen some things that we need to continue to work on. And, really that's the theme of the year. It's going to be the theme, towards the end of the season as well, that, we're just continuing to try to get better. And I think for the position group that I'm working with and responsible for, I think you're probably seeing some growth and improvement there as well. And, I welcome, any questions that you guys may have in regards to the program, the team, or, specific to the linebacker position. But again, thank you for being with us. And, we really enjoy this opportunity.
All right, Seth, we'll go right into questions. The first question will be from Chad Leistico.
Hey, Seth. Thanks for doing this. Hope you're well. With the way you guys, could you describe kind of the way you guys teach defense on the defensive line? There's some, I guess, concern out there. You only have one sack through 2 games, but I know that's not necessarily, what you guys emphasize the most. So kind of describe maybe, how you would explain that.
Yeah, I think the first thing that you've got to look at is, I do think you have to take into consideration the 2 opponents that we've played. Both of those, both teams were dealing with younger quarterbacks. Obviously the beginning of the season is not necessarily the time in which you want to get into a whole lot of your offense and even more specifically your drop back pass game. So the ball's coming out a lot quicker. I think that's probably where you want to start. And then, with the way that we're built defensively, we start by, trying to defend the run before we ultimately start defending the pass. And, just the way that we play our defensive line or our front seven, we're real heavy in regards to our alignments and how we play our techniques up front. So, some of that is, some of that's more, really more to do with the opponent, but also, with kind of how we're built. And we've, I'll be real honest with you. We've got to do a better job of getting our opponent into off scheduled second downs and then your 3rd and 7 or greater. And that's usually when you'll start to see, a little bit more pressure on the quarterback. But, it's not a huge concern of ours. Obviously we'd like to get the quarterback on the ground a little bit more, but I think right now it's just a matter of us continuing to do what we're doing and, maybe do a little bit better job on 1st and 2nd down to allow those opportunities to present themselves.
Seth, next question is from Scott Docterman.
Seth, good to see you. I hope you're well. I wanted to ask you about Nick Jackson and how he's worked his way into the defense. I'm sure the verbiage is a challenge for him, probably more than actually going out and playing, but kind of what's your assessment of him through 2 games and what's his growth potential over the next couple of weeks when he gets more familiar with your defense?
Yeah, I think, Scott, it's a good question. And, here's where Nick is very fortunate. You talk about verbiage. He's had, I think now this is his 4th defense that he's worked with, his 4th defensive coordinator. So he's got plenty of verbiage. It's just a matter of trying to figure out, what in the past is, paralleled to what we do here. And I think what you're going to continue to see is you're just going to continue to see gradual improvement from week in and week out. Right now, I don't want to say he's drinking out of a fire hose because he certainly isn't, because there's a lot of football that he's had and played in the past. But trying to marry some of the stuff from the past to the present is it's not a challenge. It's just a work in progress. And, I'm anxious to see each and every day, come and pass and see the improvement that, not only that he is experiencing, but also Jay Higgins and the other guys that, might haven't taken the field yet, but, all those guys are young in their own ways and, or inexperienced in regards to our defense or the brand of football that we're playing against.
Next question is from David Eichholt.
Seth, appreciate you taking the time. Good to see you. A little bit of an unconventional first couple of weeks for the Iowa linebacker room, just with teams utilizing the quick passing. I'm sure Nick Jackson's tired of going back in coverage, but how valuable are those pass reps and him dropping back into coverage? How valuable is that going to be going forward through the rest of the season?
Yeah, I think that the more diversity that we see at the beginning of the year in regards to our opponent and what they're doing offensively is only going to provide us with a better foundation for, the middle of the season and then, obviously the back third of the season. But, what we've seen is we have seen some parallels. I think, we shared with our guys beginning of this week that Western Michigan is going to be a blend of our last two opponents in a lot of ways. There's going to be some tempo. There's going to be some, tight end usage that we saw out of Iowa State that we didn't see out of Utah State. There's going to be the spread element. And again, the tempo that we saw out of Utah State that we didn't necessarily see out of Iowa State. So just the more of that we continue to get, it's going to be better for us defensively in the long run because it just provides a stronger foundation to what we're doing defensively.
Next question is from Mitch Fick.
Hey, Seth, such a big moment for Ethan Hurkett on Saturday. 2 years ago this week is when he gets knocked out against Kent State, loses the rest of his freshman year. Just what have you seen from him? I know Jay told me yesterday, Herc's kind of the guy you point to for everybody else of like, that's how you go about your business. Just what have you seen from Ethan as he's grown into the two deeps and really a more prominent role?
Yeah, Mitch, I do appreciate your tweet yesterday. It was good that I think you got to the bottom of it in regards to, how things finished in Ames on Saturday with Ethan on top of the ball. And then, asking his teammates, and his teammates were graciously crediting, the way that Ethan goes about his business. And, Ethan, Quinn Schulte, Jackson Rexroth, they all come from the same fabric. They all come from the same background. They all come from Coach Schulte's program up there at Xavier. And, so they haven't had any, I guess their learning curve has not been, what it might be for some other programs that maybe exist further away where players aren't as familiar with us. So when Ethan got here, we knew what it was going to look like down the road. It was just a matter of time. And then obviously the injury that came about, kind of, sideline that or put it on delay for a little bit. But, I think what we see each and every day in the way that Ethan goes about his business, whether it be on the field or off the field, is really in a first-class manner and something that I think our young guys, as I mentioned to the linebackers, if we can just pay real close attention to the way that he does things, I think we'd all be better because of it.
Next question is from John Steppe.
Hey, Seth, great to see you. With Jay Higgins and his adjustment to Mike linebacker, obviously a lot of pre-snap responsibilities at that position. How have you seen him kind of adjust to that new role?
I think I said this at media day and I tried not to get too far in front of my skis because I wasn't sure what it was going to look like once Jay did take the field. And we're 2 games into it, so I'm very cautious of saying too much here. But, I think what you're seeing, first off, the credit does need to be given to Jay Higgins. But I think a lot of credit has to be given to that room and the guys that have come before him and the brand of linebacker play that, has been played here, during the history of Coach Ferentz's time. But, here more recently with some of those guys, that Jay has attached himself to and Jack Campbell and Seth Benson. I know that the both of them reached out to Jay after the game on Saturday. Jay looked up to both of those guys in so many levels and paid attention and tried to emulate and replicate. And, now we're starting to see that. Again, there's a lot ahead of us right now, but Jay's done a really good job, both on and off the field in regards to the football as well as the leadership.
Next question is from Tyler Talkman.
Hey, Coach. Hope you're doing well. Jay Higgins was talking about yesterday. He had heard stories about what Sebastian Castro used to do on scout team. Do you just have any memories of kind of the early days of Sebastian and kind of what he used to do on scout team?
Yeah, and Tyler, I apologize. I walked past you 2 or 3 times the other day on the side. I didn't know who the heck I was looking at, and I'm like, gosh, this guy look. But anyway, I apologize for not stopping by and saying hello. But I do appreciate you were out there before anybody else. They must have been in traffic. But anyway, in regards to Sebastian, just I mean, the one thing that Sebastian does is he goes hard and he goes fast. As soon as he diagnoses, what is exactly going on. And I would rewind that clock if you wanted to look like it, if you wanted a visual of what that looked like when he first got here. There was no diagnosing. It was just, he went and, usually was headed in the wrong direction. But he was going. So, the reps, the practice, the time, the experience has all given him an opportunity to diagnose things. And what we're still seeing is that suddenness, the violence. He's an unbelievable tackler. Like, he will find a way to get the ball carrier down. I can't say enough about Sebastian, the way that he's taken on the role of being our cash player right now.
Next question is from Adam Jacoby.
Hey, Coach, how you doing?
I'm good. You?
I'm doing well, thank you. So actually, Tyler asked a pretty decent overlap on what I was curious about too. So I guess sort of zooming out a little bit, the two biggest components that are visual or that are visible for sort of untrained eyes like ours on the pick 6 against Iowa State was Joe Evans putting the pressure on the QB, and obviously the pick and score by Sebastian. Sort of anything else that popped out to you, like with a coach's eye on a play that helped make that play such a big success?
I do think I would. I'd give credit to what the D-line was doing up front, and Joe certainly was coming free, which, that's going to put the quarterback, in a little bit more sense of urgency to get rid of the ball. I think it's, that's something that we stress to that position, whether it be the Leo in space, whether it be the cash in space. The route that does give us a little bit of trouble is, when number 2 starts to, work away from the cash of the Leo to the wide side of the field, and they run the corner off. Like, that's just, and I can't say that is specifically what happened right there, but what I would tell you is the Leo and the cash player are very cautious of, getting up underneath whatever route exists on the far sideline when we're to the field, because that's, quite frankly, that's what we're giving up. We're built to protect the inside middle of the field first, and then react to everything on the exterior. I think we're fortunate right there. I think what you saw during the course of the game against Iowa State is you saw a young quarterback, okay, that his coaches were purposely trying to make sure that his throws were on the exterior of our defense. And I just think it played out. There was a little bit of time that had developed during the course of the game where, I think our guys got a little bit familiar with what they were trying to do in the pass game. And then they started to expand, to the perimeter, much like, we made the quarterback scramble on a 3rd down midfield. They were going from our bench left to right. And we're in a 2-man situation where we had the guys underneath covering man to man, and we usually play it with inside leverage. And we had moved Fisher to outside leverage because they kept hitting Fisher with number 18 going to the flat, which, I'm sure you guys can remember on some of those 3rd downs. And, so whether it be a change like that we made on the sideline prior to that series, or whether it be just Sebastian Castro starting to get a feel for what was going on with the quarterback in conjunction with Joe Evans coming free from the left end into that right side A gap in the face of the quarterback. So I just, it's all everything working together. And then, the course of time that existed in the game and in the field that our underneath cover guys had coverage wise.
Thank you so much.
All right, Coach, next question is from Chad Leistico.
Hey, it feels like, I mean, I don't have numbers, but it feels like your blitz percentage maybe is even lower than usual so far this year, for whatever reason. But I was kind of curious what factors lead you and Phil to kind of quote unquote dial up the blitz? And also just curious if Jamari coming back, does that give you more comfort to maybe blitz more because you've got 2 veteran corners out there as opposed to a new guy like.
Yeah. Chad, I think that the one thing that I do want to do is I do want to give credit to Deshaun Lee. You know, what he did in his first 2 games, you know, because there's a target on your back when you become that guy that takes that role for somebody that should have been in it. You know, and offenses know that, offensive coordinators know that, quarterbacks know that. So, you know, I do want to give a lot of credit to Deshaun and you know, what he's done over the last 3 weeks, and really more than that during camp, because, you know, we could kind of see this thing headed in that direction, you know, at the beginning of August. But, you know, in regards to our pressure, I give our opponents a little bit of credit. And I say that because of their use of formations. You know, if you go back and you look at it, we've faced a lot of what we call formation to the sideline. The acronym would be FSL or FIB, formation into the boundary. That gets us locked out of a lot of things when they set the formation to the short side of the field. You know, there's some spread formation stuff that, you know, I can't tell you that I can tell you that we have been lesser from a percentage standpoint when it comes to pressure. I can't say that we've called less pressures, if that makes sense to you. We've been checked out of some pressures because of what the offense has presented to us. So I don't know that we haven't intentionally said, okay, we're, you know, or for any other reason other than, you know, what the offense has dictated. So, you know, I think that's, you know, that's probably a, you know, fairly high level answer in regards to it.
Seth, final 2 questions. First one is from Scott Docterman.
Yeah, Seth, I wanted to ask you about, you know, 2 players in particular who were backups, and one's Jaden Harrell and his level of kind of trajectory, because he looks like he might be a guy maybe if as a backup now, but maybe next year as being a real vital player. And also Ben Keeter, we haven't seen him yet. I don't think even in uniform. And you know, high profile player. Where does he kind of stand on things right now with your defense?
Yeah, I'll start with Jaden, then I'll get back to Ben. In regards to Jaden, Jaden's done everything that we have asked in regards to the Mike linebacker position. You know, he is sitting in a backup role right now. You know, I think he's anxiously awaiting an opportunity to try to make things right based on that last series against Utah State. I know that was not a good taste that was left in his mouth. You know, and I think he's hopeful that at some point that opportunity will come. But, you know, I'll tell you this, like I nor our staff has, you know, we don't have any reservation in regards to him going into the game at any time under any circumstance. Like that's how well he's prepared. He's done an excellent job in the meeting room, and he's done an excellent job on the practice field as well. So, and he's got a good one to learn from. And he also had the same opportunity that Jay did with Jack and Seth. So, you know, no issues there, and really just, you know, looking for that door to open up for him to go in there. And in regards to Ben, so Ben had an ankle, he had an ankle that showed up in that first week against Utah State. That was the only reason he didn't practice on Tuesday and Wednesday of that week. So, that was the only reason why he didn't dress that weekend. That's why you didn't see him in uniform. No other reason other than that. You know, Ben's done a great job. He's doing a great job on our scout team right now. You know, the biggest thing there is just us trying to, you know, work this marriage with wrestling, because he is trying to juggle both right now. Like it's not a full-time job over in wrestling, but you know, it's him doing a part-time job over there and trying to get over there as much as he can. And you know, we're trying to work to put weight on him as well, which I know is needed, you know, on the wrestling side as well. But you know, I think his world also changed a little bit, you know, a few weeks ago when there was news that came out of Carver in regards to some of the wrestlers. And so I think that, you know, that path might have changed just a little bit in regards to his thinking. So, you know, right now he's done a great job for us, and you know, I don't see why he wouldn't continue to do that. It's just us trying to figure things out, you know, as we get closer to October, November, and December.
Last question, Seth, is from Tyler Tashman. Sorry, Tyler Tashman.
Oh, you're all good. I was curious about Kyler Fisher, someone that's kind of been in the program for a while and uh has an increased role this season. Just what has all kind of stood out about his development since he's been at Iowa?
Yeah, Tyler has Tyler's really a unique story. I say Tyler, talking to Tyler about Kyler. Kyler's really a unique story. Kyler was however many years ago it was probably 5 years ago now that we were down in St. Louis at the Lindenwood, Sox and Jocks camp where everybody in the Midwest goes to. And we saw Kyler Fisher at that time moving around, and he had on blue cleats. And I remember telling Coach Parker, I said, you might want to take a look at this kid. We might be able to get him as a walk-on. I don't know where he's from. Lo and behold, we figured out he was from Iowa. 2 weeks later we had him at camp. And then, that's how the whole story with Kyler Fisher developed. Is we got him as a walk-on. We loved his background, being a wrestler and just looking at his skill set. And then he came here as a DB and quickly ate enough calories that, that we had to put him in the linebacker room, and he's been a great fit. He's been an unbelievable staple in regards to our special teams units, and has had some significant plays during the course of his time there. And now he's just now getting his taste of, defensive football. And I don't know how many snaps it was the other day. I think it was somewhere in the 20s, but he went in there at the Leo position and did a really good job. And did it in his, that was really his first defensive debut. And I reminded him of that on Sunday. Like the next step is just the next step. Like we'll continue to improve, but he's done a great job.